In the heart of ancient Mesopotamia, where the waters of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers met to create one of the greatest empires of antiquity, there was a man whose name still echoes through the centuries, Nebuchadnezzar II, the great king of Babylon. But behind the imposing walls, the legendary gardens, and the epic victories lies a story of madness, prophetic dreams, and divine redemption. Get ready to embark on a journey full of secrets and mysteries. It all began when Nabopolassar, Nebuchadnezzar's father, freed Babylon from Assyrian rule and established a new empire. Upon inheriting the throne, Nebuchadnezzar quickly demonstrated that his talent went beyond politics. He was a born general, and his first great feat was defeating Egypt in the famous Battle of Carchemish in 605 BC. This was the beginning of his meteoric rise. Nebuchadnezzar was not content with little. His troops marched and took control of several neighboring nations, including Judah, culminating in the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC and the Babylonian exile of the Jews. To many, he was a ruthless conqueror. But Nebuchadnezzar did not seek power alone. He had a vision for Babylon, one that transcended battles. If there was one thing that fascinated Nebuchadnezzar more than war, it was the idea of transforming Babylon into a symbol of human glory. This is where the mystery of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon comes in. It is said that he ordered the construction of such a grand work that it became known as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. The gardens were described as a verdant mountain, raised in the middle of the desert, filled with exotic trees and flowering plants, fed by an intricate irrigation system. But why would Nebuchadnezzar have undertaken such a construction? Legend has it that he did it for his wife, Amytis, who missed the mountains of her homeland. It was a gesture of love and power, an attempt to bring the green mountains of Media to the arid plains of Babylon. But did these gardens really exist? No archaeological trace has been found to this day. Were they the product of the imagination of chroniclers? A symbol of man's fleeting glory? This is one of the great mysteries surrounding the life of this king. Nebuchadnezzar, despite all his power, was also tormented by dreams. On a dark night, he had a vision that left him restless. He dreamed of a huge statue made of different materials: gold, silver, bronze, iron, and clay. But the statue was destroyed by a stone, which became a mountain and filled the entire earth. None of Babylon's wise men could explain the dream. Then came Daniel, a young Jewish captive, who not only revealed the content of the dream, but also its meaning. He said that the different metals represented the kingdoms that would come after Nebuchadnezzar's, and that only the kingdom of God would last forever. Imagine the impact of this on a king who believed himself to be the greatest of all. Nebuchadnezzar was not only tormented by dreams, he also experienced one of the most dramatic falls ever recorded. After razing the city, building impenetrable walls and monumental temples, Nebuchadnezzar allowed pride to take hold of his heart. He considered himself almost a god on earth until, in another vision, he was warned by Daniel. Because of his arrogance, he would lose his sanity and live like an animal for 7 years. And that is exactly what happened. The Bible and other accounts describe that Nebuchadnezzar lost his reason and began living among the animals, feeding on grass, while his hair and nails grew like feathers and claws. This strange condition, known as lycanthropy, makes us question: was it a mental illness or a divine intervention? For 7 years he lived like a beast, while Babylon was ruled in his absence. At the end of the 7 years, Nebuchadnezzar's reason was restored, and he was no longer the same. He, who once boasted of his greatness, now knelt before a higher power. In his words, he acknowledged the sovereignty of the Most High God. It is fascinating how one of the most powerful men in history had to be reduced to the level of a beast to understand humility. It is this redemption that makes Nebuchadnezzar's story so powerful. He had everything: wealth, power, glory, but it was only by losing everything, even his humanity, that he found true wisdom. During Nebuchadnezzar's reign, Babylon reached its peak, becoming the largest and most magnificent city of the ancient world. The city was filled with grand temples, bustling markets, and imposing structures. The Ishtar Gate, decorated with brilliant blue glazed bricks and mythical creatures, was one of the wonders that showcased Babylon's glory. Under Nebuchadnezzar's rule, Babylon became not only the political capital, but also the cultural and economic hub of Mesopotamia. The Hanging Gardens might be a mystery, but the grandeur of Babylon is undeniable. The city's famous ziggurat, the Etemenanke, is believed by many to be the inspiration for the biblical Tower of Babel. It symbolized mankind's ambition to reach the heavens, a theme that Nebuchadnezzar himself seemed obsessed with, reaching greatness beyond the boundaries set for men. Religion played a central role in Nebuchadnezzar's empire. He was a devoted worshiper of Marduk, the chief deity of Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar spent much of his reign restoring temples and expanding the cult of Marduk, believing that the prosperity of his kingdom was directly linked to the favor of the gods. One of Nebuchadnezzar's most intriguing and mysterious acts was the strengthening of his relationship with the divine. He believed his victories were a direct result of divine favor. But at the same time, the episode of his madness suggested that even the favor of the gods had limits when it came to human pride. As Babylon expanded its territory, it brought back countless captives to its heart. Nebuchadnezzar's conquest of Jerusalem in 586 BC and the subsequent exile of the Jewish people is one of the most well-documented events of his reign. The exile led to a major transformation for the Jewish people, forcing them to adapt their faith and traditions in a foreign land. The exile was not merely an act of conquest, but a calculated strategy to control conquered populations. By moving entire communities to Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar not only demonstrated his power, but also sought to integrate the intellectual and cultural wealth of other peoples into his empire. However, these exiles also brought their own beliefs and traditions, and in this cultural melting pot, new ideas began to spread. Among the captives brought to Babylon was Daniel, whose wisdom and faith earned him a place in Nebuchadnezzar's court. Daniel interpreted the king's dreams, and his influence continued even under the successors of Nebuchadnezzar. But his faith also led to moments of tension and danger. Though this event actually took place during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar's successor, Daniel's story symbolizes the complex relationship between the rulers of Babylon and the peoples they conquered. Despite the danger and the pressure to conform, Daniel remained steadfast in his faith, which ultimately led to miraculous deliverance. Such stories contributed to the legend of Nebuchadnezzar's court as a place where the divine intervened in mysterious ways. Nebuchadnezzar's ambitions went beyond mere conquest. He wanted his name to last forever. His building projects across Babylon were designed not just to glorify the gods, but to ensure that his name would be remembered for generations. He left inscriptions all over the city, proudly declaring his achievements. He rebuilt the temples, strengthened the walls, and made Babylon virtually impregnable. The question remains, though, did Nebuchadnezzar truly believe his legacy could withstand time, or was he trying to defy the fate that had humbled every king before him? History shows us how powerful his city became, but also how empires rise and fall, often leaving only ruins and memories behind. As Nebuchadnezzar grew older, his reign began to be marked by restlessness. The prophecies revealed by Daniel must have weighed heavily on his mind. Nebuchadnezzar's final years were quieter compared to the turbulent beginning of his reign, as the once great conqueror focused more on maintaining the glory of Babylon rather than expanding it. Yet, despite his best efforts, cracks began to appear. After his death, the empire slowly started to decline. His successors could not match his vision or his strength, and the city he glorified began to crumble under its own weight, especially after the rise of the Persian Empire under Cyrus the Great. Nebuchadnezzar's vision of eternal greatness came to an end in 539 BC when Babylon fell to the Persians. The once impregnable city, full of splendor and riches, was conquered without much resistance. According to the accounts, the Persian army entered through the dry bed of the Euphrates River after diverting its waters. The city, once celebrated as the greatest in the world, fell in one night. The fall of Babylon, despite all of Nebuchadnezzar's efforts, raises an essential question. What truly endures? Was the king's life, filled with pride, power, madness, and humility, a reflection of the fleeting nature of all human ambitions? His story is a poignant reminder that, no matter how much power a man holds, No matter how grand the cities he builds, time and fate have a way of humbling even the mightiest. The ruins of Babylon, scattered in the desert sands, tell the story of a great king, his dreams, his fall, and his redemption. Nebuchadnezzar's story is one of glory and mystery, of ambition and divine lessons. And perhaps that is why his name still echoes today, because it reminds us of our own ambitions, our pride, and the importance of humility. What do you think of Nebuchadnezzar's legacy? Was his madness a divine punishment, or merely the consequence of unchecked power? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more journeys into the mysteries of history. These chapters add depth to Nebuchadnezzar's story, showcasing his accomplishments, his challenges, and the ultimate fall of the empire he worked so hard to build. It's full of fascinating historical elements that can engage viewers, while also offering reflections on power, humility, and the ephemeral nature of human achievements. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you found Nebuchadnezzar's story thought-provoking, share your thoughts in the comments. Which part of his life resonated most with you? And what does his journey teach us about our own place in the world today? Remember, every story from history has a lesson waiting to be unraveled. Subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales from the pages of history. Let us continue exploring the mysteries of humanity together.